Hi, everyone, and welcome to the East County Sports Week 2 football preview with Dave Dickens. I'm Ramon Scott. Dave, we've got a great card this week on Friday night. We got a lot of games. It's the best part of the early season. We got to follow a lot of games and a lot of teams, but we've got some great matchups here this week to go over. We'll kind of talk about last week too, but we'll talk about, while we had the post game show, and man, we have a great time on the post game show last week.
Got
And
a new emerging star.
oh yeah, and some great matchups this week too, Dave. Steele Canyon and Santa Fe Christian leads a strong card. Granite Hills tries to rebound at Mater Dei Catholic. Helix makes a rare trip to Imperial. Christian opens its season at Valley Center, and several East County teams attempt to build on some pretty impressive victories last week, Dave.
Yeah, and I think the first one we'll be needing to get into is we're kind of familiar with Linfield Christian playing at Mountain Empire as Linfield Christian. The Lions played against Christian High School, the Patriots, just 2 years ago, and it was a 22-21 contest.
Oh man,
I think that
I
this is
forgot all about that.
Yeah, so I think this is actually a huge game for Mountain Empire to really measure their success and how how really improved that they are both offensively and defensively after last night's rout uh, of Hamilton.
Yeah, it was something. We'll get into that game. We'll get into all the games. We'll preview the best games here to get us started. So, thank you for joining us here. If you're watching live with us, we love to have your comments or questions in the chat. We'll flash it on the screen, even. And if you're watching it on delay, don't forget to join us on Friday night after the games. We had a great time last Friday night. If you haven't gone back and checked it out, Dave, we had Cedric Norris, the breakout junior star of the Grossmont Foothillers, and wasn't it exciting? I said, "Oh man, I bet Cedric's the only guy with 3 touchdowns. 2 guys had 4 touchdowns." Dave, we'll talk about some of them. We'll talk about one of them here just a moment. But let me go to the best games right now. I think, Dave, if you look at the overall card here this week with Steele Canyon here taking on Santa Fe Christian. It's only interesting, Dave, because it's almost like last week. Helix was like I don't know, we had them like 14 or 15 again, and they were at Santa Fe Christian. Now, this is last season's Division II championship rematch that ended, remember, 44-41 in favor of Santa Fe Christian. Both senior quarterbacks return. Talking about a guy that we saw, Dave, line it up there against the Highlanders, Cornell commit Dax Labrum, uh, 225 yards against Helix and 3 touchdowns. And for Steele Canyon, of course, you've got Gavin Caha, who led the Cougars with 186 total yards of offense, and he threw for 272 yards in last season's championship game, kind of matching Labrum a little bit, Dave. So this should resemble the championship game, I would think. It's probably going to be a pretty awesome game, but we are on the road.
Well, let's not forget too who's the tutor, if you will, of and mentor of none other than the New Orleans Saint and newly Hall of Fame inducted Drew Brees. So
Yeah.
that's a pretty hefty competition being trained by someone of his caliber. Uh, but hey, let's not take anything away from Caha either, because we've seen him really rack up the stats, especially last season. And again, it was a very close contest last season. But I don't know. Santa Fe Christian has been pretty tough too, and we figured they would win pretty handily last week. And I think it's a tall task for Steele Canyon's defense for sure.
Yeah, definitely here. Dave, we followed Santa Fe Christian a long time, and you mentioned Breeze, and they're working with Labrum, and we saw some great numbers. It feels like Dax is one of the top. I think we all know that he is one of the top quarterbacks in the county. You know, Coach Longerbone, he says his quarterback, Gavin Caha, is one of the top quarterbacks in the county. And, you know, it's not hard to disagree with him. It's just that, I don't know, Labrum and Zac Benitez as well. These guys are pretty great. So I'm not saying it was a pedestrian game at all for Caha, 124 yards, but he did have 62 yards rushing. But that's the type of game that was against San Diego, Dave, 7-3, as Luke Rode recorded 14 tackles. Trey Williams made a critical interception. And I talked this week, Dave, to Malcolm Ballard. He caught the game's only touchdown, and he told me later on, he sent me a video. He said, look, I caught two. I was in bounds. I toe tapped right inside the pylon, and they ruled it no touchdown, and they didn't come away with any points in that drive. So it was still 7-3. They got the win there over San Diego. We talked about San Diego, right, where you know, they have Cooper came in there, and boy, Steele Canyon. That looked like the old Steele Canyon defense, Dave, holding them to 3 points. That you know, we want to see Steele Canyon score more points. I imagine this game they will score more points. I mean, Santa Fe Christian is great, but they are getting involved in some kind of high-scoring games there, even if Helix didn't get their share, I guess.
Well, you did mention the defense. The senior linebacker Luke Rode had 14 tackles, including 13 solo stops. Senior Trey Williams made the interception that created Steele Canyon's scoring opportunity, and Cameron Buchanan, Marcus Hunt, Gunnar Minnick, each had 5 tackles. So
wow.
I think that defense might be able to control the line of scrimmage, possibly, and force Santa Fe Christian to air it out more often than they probably would like to.
Yeah, we'll see. And Josiah Stalker, he had a great game in that championship game last season. So Steele Canyon better, you know, probably going to use him, I would think. He was lighting it up last year against Santa Fe Christian. Santa Fe Christian better keep track here of Josiah Stalker in there, because he could definitely be a big factor in this game on Friday night, Dave. I think, look, Santa Fe Christian just beat Helix. They kind of beat the pants off them. Now, I think it's safe to say, Dave, that Steele Canyon is ahead of Helix here at this point when we're weighing all of our teams, and we've moved them kind of considerably ahead in the rankings. But I just feel like the Santa Fe Christian, we have them ranked one notch ahead. They're at home. Man, they're playing really good. I think they're going to edge Steele Canyon here. It's going to come down the wire, but I'll take Santa Fe Christian here, Dave, by a point or two. I just, you know, we couldn't beat them with Helix. Steele Canyon, they're definitely better than Helix right now, but you're still on the road, and this Santa Fe Christian team looks as good as they've ever looked. And we, like I said, we watched this program for years because of their relationship with Christian in that long-time series.
Yeah, and let's not forget that they, you know, Santa Fe Christian also completed the perfect 13-0 local season last year as well. So I think they're heading in exactly the same direction. I'm going to also have to take Dax Labrum and crew, but I'm only going to take them by 7.
Okay, I got a little closer, but I'm a little concerned here because, man, Santa Fe Christian, they look as good as ever. And you mentioned it. Yeah, you're right. As far as, you know, where they stand right now, and could go back again to another champion. Who knows what championship game? They've obviously, you know, Division I primed here. And I don't know how high they can get, but, man, they are looking pretty darn good here right now. So, okay, we're both going to kind of, let's hope they get the upset here on Friday night. Okay, Dave, next up, we've got the Eagles here trying to bounce back on the road, Dave. They trailed Oceanside, Dave. You know it. You watched it. It was 30-7. They did make a great run in the second half to cut it to 44-29. In fact, remember, they got it to within one score. Zac Benitez threw 4 touchdown passes to Nino Miller-Thompson, Dave, who had a monster game, Dave. One of the best, maybe one of the premier games in all the county. Even though they lost the game, Miller-Thompson had incredible numbers, 230 yards receiving, 4 touchdowns. Dave, the Eagles couldn't run the ball, and they were getting sacked back there a little bit too. So, Mater Dei Catholic here, they suffered a difficult opener. They lost 29-28 to Del Norte after a potential tying extra point was blocked, Dave. So, look, Granite, even though they're on the road, I think they're supposed to win this one, Dave.
Well, time is of the essence because Granite Hills can ill afford to lose any more games, especially if they even have a breath of a chance of open division play in the playoffs. I think it's teetering as it is after losing that game to Oceanside. And really, the immediate concerns, like you mentioned, is the Eagles finished with -2 rushing.
Oh, boy.
And then allowing those 4 sacks and surrendered 8 points. And then the pick 6 and a safety. I mean, for somebody going to San Jose State, Zac looked really rattled back there pretty much all of the first half. And he gained a little traction, but still we turned the ball over again. And unfortunately, against the schedule that they face, including Mater Dei Catholic, they can ill afford to take any sacks or throwing any pick 6s and playing from behind, which is what they did the whole time against Oceanside. And I mean, they gotta figure something out. And I look to Kellen Cobbs to probably start to pound the ball and not give up on it, not abandon it, and try to get some early yards, maybe even a little play action. Maybe they'll get some of the backs into some play action and play the small game to start and then air it out once Zac gets a little more comfortable. But we can't give up on them already too early in the season for an offense like that. Like you said, with Nino Miller-Thompson, he still is going to be, I think, Zac's go-to guy, his number 1 receiver anyway, even though he has a plethora of receivers to go to. But he really didn't go to them as often as he did to Nino, especially when the pressure was on, which was pretty much the whole contest.
Well, that says Nino. I think he's automatic. We might have to go to him earlier and more often. He was on fire with those dozen receptions or so, touchdown receptions of 26, 39, 59, and 23 yards, and they closed within 37-29. And I thought they've got a chance here, Dave, but they couldn't get that last score. And then Oceanside. That's another thing too, Dave. Oceanside here. Look, Eagles aren't backing down from anybody, but Oceanside here is also a team that is back to being Oceanside of old, back when we were young. And they're obviously, a top. They've obviously passed Granite Hills up a little bit here, even though they're at home. I think they won comfortably enough. I think most people have moved them ahead of Granite Hills. It's probably, number 5, 6, or 7 in the county right now, with Granite Hills a notch or 2 behind them at this point. For Mater Dei Catholic here, they've got sophomore quarterback Jayden Blondin, who had 284 yards and 3 touchdowns last week, and Khalonie Jordan, 6 receptions for 124 and a score, is who they're going to have to keep track on, Dave, here. But I still think Granite wins it by a couple of touchdowns.
Yeah, and Mater Dei hasn't changed too much on their staff on the field. So, I mean, let's look at last year's 49-18 decimation. So this one could be a little more competitive, though, with their Crusaders, like you said, are playing at home and very capable of throwing some darts through the air. So, but I think that I'm sure Cobb's practiced them a little bit longer and really clean some. We just had to clean up the turnovers, really, because I think that's still a great offense, a smooth offense. But, also let's tighten up that offensive line and not allow those sacks either and getting flushed out of the pocket so soon, and keep Zac back there sipping coffee and throwing touchdowns.
We'll see if Oceanside, they might be an open team. The way they look, they've obviously, it feels like, got the best linemen in the county as well. So no problem, Eagles. Probably going to have to win them all here, Dave, except maybe they could get away. not saying that they couldn't beat Cathedral Catholic, but if they don't win that one, they'll probably have to win all the rest of the games to try to get to the open division. If not, hey, we've won Division I twice in a row. We might do it again. Okay, let's keep it moving here, Dave, right now. And boy, I'll tell you what, Dave, Helix, they're going to Imperial, Dave. They've only been to, they haven't been out to the desert in 20 years, Dave. Now, the Highlanders are 5-0 historically against desert teams. They've got to recover from that 38-6 loss last week to Santa Fe Christian. Bryce Calloway scored Helix's only touchdown. Imperial defeated Mission Bay last week, 25-20 behind Darren Husso, who rushed for 147 yards and added a 55-yard receiving score, Dave. Helix is the more talented team, but Imperial does have rushing ability and defensive pressure. They're a strong program, from the desert here, and we know how tough it is to go out there. So, look, Imperial's a team that could give problems here. Helix, I expect them to win. They've never lost to a desert team. They've not only the 3-0 out there, but they've also won twice here, although 2 of the games were back in the mid-50s or something like that.
Well, let's not forget the success that some of our other teams from the Valley, even when they were in the hills, West Hills has had some success and played Imperial quite a few times, and whether they were in the desert or at home, and they found some success in the past. So I think that also favors Helix, and like you said, I think definitely our roster is much more favorable. But yeah, I mean, the Tigers opened with the 25-20 victory over Mission Bay, which I think is big. And then Darren Husso, who rushed for 147 yards, a touchdown, while adding the 55 yards and another score. Anthony Helm Jr., who finished with 74 receiving yards, and also disruptive pass rush from that defense, junior lineman Matthew Rivera and senior linebacker Ryan Adame recorded 2 sacks apiece, while junior linebacker Ernesto Vargas added another. Senior safety Jacob Lee contributed 7 tackles, 2 quarterback pressures, and a fumble recovery. So all I got to say is you better have that offensive line dug in the trenches and given some protection for our somewhat young quarterback back there for the Highlanders. But I still think that that line can handle the pressure, and hopefully we don't struggle to sustain our drives against this Imperial team. Let's remember, too, how much of that heat can be a factor, and they got to stay hydrated as well to be effective.
Yeah, and we'll see there. It wasn't a great outing there for Thompson there necessarily, so Helix is going to have to get it back going here a little bit. They should win this game, and I almost failed there on the graphic, Dave. Imperial's number 26 in our current top 40 poll here. I'm going to start listing all the numbers here so we get a kind of a glimpse of where the teams stand. So Helix is the better ranked team, but Imperial's at home, and they did win that game, as you mentioned. So I'll take Helix here, Dave. I'm going to still take them to win this one, but I think it's going to be a little tough. It might be close. I'll take Helix here to win it by maybe a touchdown, Dave. I'll take him by a touchdown.
Yeah, I'm going to take Helix has to win this game. I know it's early on, but this is one of those that they're expected to win, and I think they should win. Keep that desert record perfect, and I'm going to take Helix 27-26.
All right. Ooh, close one. Hope we get to see some of that one. Okay, Dave, let's go next. I'm going to skip down here a little bit, Dave, because we want to talk about Christian here because it's their season opener. And we didn't get a chance to see them, obviously, last week. Now, for Christian here, Dave, we're expecting some big things. We talked to him there in the preseason, and they got us pretty fired up. They opened their season after last year's extraordinary run from 3-7, 2-7. to the CIF state championship game. Caleb Runkle had a huge year last year, Dave, of course, and Kai Rozier, we know, I can't believe he's only going to play mostly offense. I will see about that, but maybe they are a little bit deeper. Julian Moronis continues to look like one of the up-and-coming stars of the entire county, and they are going up here against Valley Center. We know how tough it is to go play Valley Center. All of our teams all the time, Dave. It feels like you're playing against the 11 guys, and maybe sometimes playing on the guys in the stripes a little bit too. But Valley Center, they beat Bishops, Dave, 34-17 with 235 yards rushing and an 8.5 yards per carry average here in this one, Dave. So this is not an easy opener at all. And if you just think Christian here, maybe they aren't inside the top 25, but if we got Valley Center at 30th and they're at home, I mean, this could be a close game.
Yeah, well, let's not forget, Christian started the season looking pretty rickety and didn't look too good at the beginning of the season. But boy, did they muster out a great streak of wins into the playoffs and look like exactly what we expected to take place. Runkle completed 240 of 393 passes for 2,870 yards, 28 touchdowns, only six interceptions last year. Also added 572 yards on the ground for 3,442 yards of total offense just by himself. We always talk about Roser, some of those catches. I mean, you can go to eastcountysports.com or you can go to our YouTube page and you'll see that one is one of her main features of Kyle Rozier going up in the air and grab, almost flipping into the end zone and holding on to the ball. So, and we know how great he was last year. He's Runkle's go-to guy. Caught 77 passes last year for 1,146 and 9 touchdowns, accumulating 1,644 all-purpose yards. And then we all know that how many Moronises are we going to produce for the Patriots? And he's just as strong as the last one. Probably so far looks to be one of the best runners of all the Moronis, and as a young sophomore also. And he was averaging 6.8 yards per carry, and he didn't even play every game last season. So I think we look for big things, and I think that they're going to pound the ball as much as they're going to run the ball. And I'm looking for Moronis to be a big part of that offense against these Valley Center gentlemen. And I think, I know that Granite's been up there. A couple of our other teams have played Valley Center, and you can ask them, like you said, some of the laundry shouldn't have been thrown, and they didn't help us any, and going on the road too as well. But I think that Christian opens the season, and we talked to the guys, and they are very confident. I mean, they sound like they're going to go undefeated. They're so confident.
Yeah, for sure, Dave. And don't forget Moronis, a great defensive talent as well to lead that defense. I think Christian can get it here, Dave, on the road. I'm going to trust him here. I know that we sat through some games last year on the road that were a little tough in the regular season, games that I think we thought they would win. They had some close calls. They were on the short end of some, there as well. But I don't know, Dave. I think here we got to think that they can get it. I just remember the Bishops games, last year was not great. And, they did lose to Santa Fe Christian. That loss isn't aging poorly, obviously, here now. But, lost to Madison and La Jolla as well before they got things going finally. So better win this one, Dave. I think they can do it. I'm going to take Christian by a field goal.
Yeah, I think also their last appearance was in this before this game that they're going to play was in the CIF state championship game. And like we have talked about several times, transformed a 3-7 team into a section and Southern California regional champion. So right. I think that honestly, this roster is even better than it was last year. And lots of veteran leadership, great coaching. And I think that Coach Bug and co are definitely going to get these guys possibly to another state championship. But we got to win the first one. But I am going to take them by a touchdown over Valley Center.
Okay, and look, I have questions on the defense. Right, they're really only returning, I believe, a handful of starters, maybe 4 or 5. I think they said we talked to them, and yet you don't need Rozier on defense. So going by their information, Dave, I would think they feel confident in that defense. As otherwise, Kai we know can do probably as great on the defense as well. So, all right, Dave, I guess we're going with the Patriots, huh?
Yep, and let's not forget senior. I forgot to mention him, senior Store Lucy, who caught 6 touchdown passes last season. Also, could be a top target to look for Caleb Runkle.
Yep, no doubt about it. Season opener for Christian. All right, Dave, we got an intermission time. We're going to hear this from Granite Mortgage.
Buying a home or refinancing shouldn't feel confusing. Since 2000, Granite Mortgage has served El Cajon and San Diego County with experienced personal guidance. Their team explains your options and helps identify the loan program that fits your goals. From conventional FHA and VA financing to first-time homebuyer loans and refinancing, Granite Mortgage builds client relationships through clear communication and dependable service. Start with a free consultation. Call 619-718-9999 or visit granitemortgage.net. Granite Mortgage. Ask for Jeff Merritt and move forward with confidence.
All right, Dave, this should be a fun one here. Look at this. La Jolla is coming to Grossmont High on Friday night. I think it's a 7:15 start time. Grossmont here, Dave. It feels like it could be some high flying. Grossmont scored those 34 points to beat Madison after trailing 7-0. We had a great time with Cedric Norris on the show. Feels like it was a breakout game. We talked to him, and I think Grossmont knows that they can use him now. And with Tyler Holmes having a great game, Jacob B on the run game, and the defense looked pretty good, Dave. But they're going up against La Jolla team that beat Henry 35-30. La Jolla lost to Henry 35-30, Dave. They did have 479 yards in that game. So La Jolla can test Grossmont's defense. We've seen some, I hope the defense continues to improve here for Grossmont. They had a good game last week, Dave, but it can get a little crazy, and they're playing a good La Jolla team that had some offense. So La Jolla could test Grossmont, Dave, in several ways. I think the Foothillers are still stronger. They are at home, and I think they'll win. But what do you think of this one, Dave?
Well, let's not forget, when we were talking to a couple of defensive players, Mr. Yost in particular was talking about a nightmare he had about dropping an almost, interception against this same La Jolla team last season. And he's looking to, he speaks very highly of what the defense did last week. And I'm sure that they're looking to do the same thing, maybe even getting in off the get some good timing on the edge rush and get to the quarterback and force them to make some big mistakes. And like you said, our good friend Cedric, who wasn't even on our preview, was he a secret weapon that?
I went back. They did. One of the players did say, "Watch out for Cedric." I went back and got that.
So, and also Mr. Onge, we also look for him in the secondary to do big things. But Tyler Holmes has got plenty of people to throw to now. But like they said, they wanted to do more of a mixture of their running game as well. So we should look for that as well this week. As far as sophomore quarterback Ty Tortoris completed 11 of 14 passes for 183 yards and a touchdown while adding 59 rushing yards for the Vikings. Junior running back Kylie I believe that is, or Khalonie Jordan carried 17 times for 123 yards and a score, while senior Joseph Prudo contributed 72 rushing yards and another touchdown. So this it might be a little bit of a tall task, but I think that the Hiller defense really wants to get back at these guys from last year's heartbreaking loss to the Vikings. And it sounds to me like they're pretty confident in doing so. I wanted to add also that they also have freshman receiver Zakai Jackson, who announced himself last week catching 4 passes for 91 yards and a touchdown. So probably that secondary is going to be watching him like a hawk.
For sure, Dave. I think we can get this one here. I think the home field might be important here in this matchup, and I'll take Grossmont to win this one, Dave. But probably I'm going to take him by maybe 10 points.
Yeah, I don't look for this one to be a shootout. I think it's going to be a battle of the. No, I think it's. I mean, I'm looking for more of a 24-21 Grossmont win.
Okay, that would be great. I'd like that. That would show that they're playing some D, I think, there at Grossmont. All right, Dave, next up. We got Mount Miguel here taking on University City. This sounds like a good one. Both teams are 1-0 coming in, and a great performance here last week by Mount Miguel. They opened the James Simon era, Dave, with victory 42-26 over Montgomery in the game. David Watt, Dave, you got to see David Watt here. He returned to kickoff 86 yards in the game. Earlier this month, he won the United States USA track and field 15, 16-year-old 110-meter hurdles, fastest, tied for the fastest time in the country in the age category for the technically 2026 season, which is now over. We're on the 26-27 season, but it was the last kind of summer meet there up, I think it was in Norwalk. And not only that, the night before the race, I believe it was the night before the race, he went out to Angel Stadium, put on the Pac-Man Ghost, the blue ghost, and he outran Pac-Man. He looked like the Freeze. I'd like to see him take on the Freeze racing on the warning track, because my man David Watt here is a burner, Dave. And not only that, he's also a pentathlon athlete. He was also involved in some, I believe, in some jumping competitions and another and a longer race as well, as he has a busy weekend up there at the USA track and field, basically the junior national championships up there at the beginning of this month. And then he returned, he's out at the Angel game. He beats Pac-Man. He gets the medal there with the races at the 110 hurdles. And then he goes out and gets the 86-yard touchdown return there last week. So this guy, watch out, Dave, for David. Do you want to think of look, it's setting you up. Can you think of a good nickname for David Watt? Megawatt, maybe, or maybe Electric Watt?
One of the two, and you look at this Mount Miguel team and all those departures to Valhalla, you would think they would be, looking at a rebuild season. However, we know James Simon was with Elkhorn Valley last year, coming in here with quite a few vacancies, but junior quarterback Enrique Gonzalez completed 13 of 18 for 202 yards and 3 touchdowns with no interceptions. So, not to take anything away from our man over there at Valhalla, but that shows us that how deep really the Matadors were. Junior receiver Caden Prince Mobley caught 8 passes for 146 and 2 scores. Well, senior running back Dominic Lopez accumulated 127 yards from scrimmage and scored both rushing and receiving. And then just to top it off with the cherry of David, let's call it Megawatt, with the 86-yard kickoff return. So they're the whole deal. You got a great special teams, and he's a great receiver. Looks like we're going to be fine at quarterback. And then, explosive, balanced, and to have that many vacancies. I mean, these were solid players that went to the Norsemen that we'll get into. That's, that court, 68 points the Norsemen scored. So, you combine both of those scores. I mean, what, 110 points between the two? That's a lot of offense, if you will. But I think that this one here, let's not count out University City. The Centurions open with the 38-13 victory over Olympian behind a lot of passing and even more disruptive defense. Senior quarterback Thomas Dietrich completed 20 to 46 passes for 248 yards, 3 touchdowns. Senior Hesh Hertz, I wonder if that's the rental car company.
I don't know, but he might be running through an airport.
Yeah, because he caught 7 passes for 58 yards and a touchdown while also making 2 picks. Senior, and we're not done because senior Declan Houston added 2 interceptions, and senior DJ Ferguson supplied another for University City. So tough task for that. Hey, I don't want to take anything away from that high-powered offense, but it's a possibility you might be scoring maybe half of those points against pretty talented, it sounds like, secondary in particular for this University City Centurion group. And they were pretty hyped up at the beginning of the season, too, as being one of the top talents in the county.
Pretty good here. And look, Dave, most of the pollsters and the ratings have Mount Miguel higher than we do. A lot of them have Mount Miguel still, top 20, even top 15. They didn't quite make the UT poll. I think they listed 14 this week. So no one voted them in the top 10. 3 people voted, I believe, Valhalla possibly at number 10, or maybe it was a number 9 and a number 10, but they got 3 points. And, ahead of a lot of teams. Valhalla already in the UT poll here. We have them pretty high too, but not as high as the UT, I don't think. But nonetheless, we don't have Mount Miguel as high as the ratings are, or maybe some of those other polls, and maybe they deserve it. This could be a good one. If Mount Miguel wins this one day, we're moving them up big time. But I'm going to take University City here by a point. I would like to know more about Mount Miguel. We just never really got in touch with Coach Simon or the team. So hopefully we can hear from these guys, especially if they were to win a game on the road or something. But it was hard for me to rate them after what we saw. The teams, we had the defections to the other teams. The first coach comes in here, says, "Oh, I didn't know all these guys were going to defect. I don't know if I can coach this team." So he was gone. They had a coach there for a couple of weeks. He didn't take the job really. He kind of quit. And then Simon comes over. He's obviously got Grossmont Conference experience. Wasn't a great time with the Braves, but they sure did look good there right now. I just wish we knew more about him, because I'd probably be able to rate him a little higher, but just gonna have to see it on the field. And we have seen it. We know Dom Lopez, can do it. And yeah, Mobley looks like a heck of a player out there for sure. And Dave, it was awesome the play that Kyrie Terrett, he picked up the ball and started to run a few yards, and the guy started tackling him. He flipped the ball to Tylen Young Hall. He went the rest of the way for an 80-yard, a total of 89 yards on the play. It resulted in an 80-yard run for Tylen Young Hall. That made the final score what it was. So I'll go ahead. I'm going to take the Centurions here by a point, though.
Yeah, I think I really sure would like to pick Mount Miguel, but boy, that's a real tough one to have to pass against, and even on the ground. But I'm going to definitely pick a close one as well. I'm going to say University City 30-27.
All right, Dave. How about those Sultans right now? The Santana Sultans are going to host Crawford here. They snuck into our top 40. They're ahead of West Hills in our poll. They're ahead of Monte Vista right now in our poll. Out of those 3, I'll kind of lumping them together, the 3 Valley League teams that are, I don't know, I think we agree, they're kind of even. Santana, West Hills, and Monte Vista. So Santana, Dave, what a turnaround, huh? They lost that game to Morris last year in the playoffs, 38-0. They went to Morris on Friday night and beat them 37-12 behind Miller and Gore and Connor Gallarno. You got to see this guy. He can catch as well. He can catch the ball. Tatum Morehouse was a monster. He got one of the Players of the Week award last week from East County Sports defensively with 15 tackles and 2 sacks, Dave. Crawford, we saw they lost to Monte Vista. They fell behind when Jenkins ran the opening kick, but we'll talk about that in a minute. But Crawford lost to the Monarchs. So, look, Dave, you can kind of compare it, right? I mean, Crawford lost to Monte Vista. Now they're playing at Santana, and Monte Vista was on the road, and this is at Santana. So you got to think that Santana can, if Monte Vista can beat Crawford at Crawford, you got to think Santana can beat Crawford at home.
Yeah, I think that with as many returning, especially skilled players for the Sultans, I think that spells bad news for the Colts, if you will. But I think that, I mean, we've talked to these kids since they came on as freshmen. I mean, Coco plays everywhere on the field, from returning the ball to defense, sacks, hurries, and then on the offensive side, also scoring touchdowns, or either side of it, really. But yeah, I mean, Denton Gore caught 3 passes for 86 yards, including a 56-yard touchdown.
Oh, he was wide open. Ooh, he was wide open.
It was a beaut. Senior Colton, like I said, Coco contributed 4 receptions for 42 yards and a score. I think he scores in almost every game that he touches the ball. But when you're on the field for pretty much every play of the game, I think you're going to be scoring at will. While sophomore Connor Gallarino made an acrobatic 21-yard touchdown reception shortly before halftime. Senior Brendan Varner, also the opening touchdown reception. Ethan Smith, the 2 Ethans, we talked about him before, made a one-hander, like a Velcro type one-hander on a 2-point conversion. And like you said, you can't count out the defense. Tatum Morehouse, DeAndre Ellaby. I think after I saw what Monte Vista did to this Crawford Colts team, I'll say for almost the first 3 quarters, I think that this Santana's just a little bit better than Monte Vista, at least so far. And I think that Crawford will have a much harder time, and Santana being at home, and Santana also having a pretty awesome offense with everybody that they have on the ground at the receivers. And let's face it, I think this is going to be one of Ethan Miller's best seasons yet. He was completely improved last year, and I think this year he's definitely the veteran, and he shows that he's a veteran leader and that he can definitely score at will. And I think that's what he's going to do against the Colts. I'm going to take Santana by 3 touchdowns over Crawford.
Yeah, Ellaby of the Tigers, he got those touchdowns after Santana was, I think, pretty much in charge. So, look, they've got a good runner there. He looked a lot like you mentioned. You said he looked a lot like the young man there from last season at Morris, Garor. So
yes.
He busted those there late in the game. But the Colts got some good guys here. Gio Garcia, 253 yards last week. Damian Monroy, that's who they're going to have to account for in that secondary, 153 yards. And they have a running back, Shamar Warren, who did score twice in the game against Monte Vista. Remember, Monte Vista was winning that game 31-8, Dave, and the Colts came back to close it. Monte Vista still won, but they were coming pretty fast. So, yep.
I think that it was just a matter of Monte Vista, and there's a couple of our teams that do that. They both go 2 ways, and I think that their defense had just run out of gas towards the end, but Monte Vista had put up such a comfortable lead but boy, it was getting real dicey towards the end of that one.
Yeah, I'll take Santana here by a couple of scores for sure. Okay, next up, Dave, another team that, they had trouble last year getting off on the right foot. But this year, 1-0, baby, that's it. West Hills here going to take on Bonita Vista. It's on the road here. It's never easy to go down to the South Bay, but I think they're expected to win this game. Evan Dill, man, Davey, he showed such great touch last week. I was really impressed. I think Dill's really improved his passing here. The numbers might not show it, but he really did throw a nice touch there last week. And we saw EJ Fields score as well. They threw a gadget play in there, and the defense was dominant too, Dave, against the Spartans running game. Now, Bonita Vista, they're also from the South Bay. They were shut out, though, 28-0 by East Lake. So maybe the Barons, because they're at home, they might be able to hold them off for a little while, Dave, but I'm not so sure. I think the Packers supposed to win this one. I'd be disappointed if they didn't.
Yeah, I mean, and last year's Wolfpack was more of a defensive squad and pounding the ball usually, but I think that Coach Ash is definitely more comfortable with Evan Dill this season, and you can see the comfort from him too that I saw in him last week as well, whether it be with his legs or his poise, just playing in the pocket. Number 8 was just he looked pretty stellar. 28-13 victory, and what a difference a year made. And it, like I said, the defense controlled the line of scrimmage the whole time. Dill did complete only 15. He only threw 15 passes, but he was 8 of 15 for 99 yards and 3 touchdowns without an interception.
There you go.
Definitely a great start for him. And he was even more productive. We talked about that when we talked to Aiden and Zach Waters about Evan. They spoke pretty highly of him, that he also has a pair of legs. Well, he ran 12 times for 104 yards and finishing with 203 yards of total offense.
Oh.
Definitely a huge improvement. I think Coach Ash has definitely got a quarterback back behind center once again. Junior receiver Chuck Rosalino emerged this year, principal scoring threat, catching 3 passes for 43 yards and 2 touchdowns. You mentioned Fields as well. Also, let's not forget about Zach Waters and that defense, though, also were pretty stellar. And junior Lucas Stalls and senior Seth Preach recorded sacks, while senior linebacker Scotty Miller got the pick against the Spartans. So,
all right,
lots of weapons on the defense. Definitely one of Coach Ash's specialties in defense, but that offense is very much a different one this year, and I think they're going to score a lot of points this season. And against Bonita Vista, I think that West Hills wins handily, at least by a pair of touchdowns.
They should, Dave. I've got them here at least by a couple of scores for sure, 10 or 14 points. West Hills should be able to win this one against Bonita Vista. I think this is actually an easier game than last week, even though last week's game was at home against the Spartans, and they sure did look good. The fans were into it. It was really great performance last week for West Hills, a far cry from the season before. Even though they finished strong, that was, I know they were disappointed. So here they are. They could be 2-0 here, Dave, if they follow through with this one.
Could we see a making of a 2021 West Hills team going undefeated? Possibly. You never know.
Yeah, we'll see. Coach Ash isn't used to going 4-7, like they did last year, Dave. So that was a great year in the Valley League that year. I know it ended with a thump, but man, when they were on a roll that year and going into that postseason game with that undefeated record, who could forget? Man, I can't believe they lost that game like that. But
the Bulldogs, unfortunately.
Yeah. All right, Dave. we did see Montgomery just lose to Mount Miguel. So Montgomery is taking on Monte Vista this week. Now, I think we could say that Mount Miguel still is probably ahead of Monte Vista. We tried to move Mount Miguel down a little bit. They didn't go for that. So, but still here, Montgomery now is going to go on the road. Remember, Mount Miguel just went into Montgomery and won that game. Now you got Montgomery taking on our Monarchs. And last week, Dave, the first play of the game, Dave, was thinking, don't kick it to number one. Because last year against Crawford, Deshaun Jenkins had two touchdown returns by interception. Well, the first play of the game was actually, Dave, some type of procedure penalty. I was watching on NFHS. I don't know what happened, but they had to kick it again. I think they even moved it 5 yards back. Well, they kicked it to Deshaun, and you could hear them in the crowd. Don't kick it to number one, Dave, because number one went all the way, 86 yards for an opening touchdown. And he also scored later in the game as well. And Monte Vista looked pretty good. Siley's a menace back there, Dave, with running off tackle. And it was a great victory there for Monte Vista, Dave, as they opened the season with a victory 31-23 over Crawford. That was another one, Dave, where kind of Crawford led the game. Monarchs led 31-8 before Crawford started coming back, Dave, but still they held on there. Montgomery lost to Mount Miguel despite producing 363 yards in the game, so they will present a challenge for Monte Vista.
Yeah, I was going to also mention, you mentioned Braden Siley providing the scoring on runs of 5 and 10 yards and adding a 2-point conversion. Also, let's not forget senior kicker Juan Duran converted a 35-yard field goal, basically supplying the winning points. So we don't only have the running game and the defense, but the Monarchs have also a leg that they can depend on if they can't punch it in each time they're on offense. But their defense recovered a fumble that held Crawford to 8 points, like we said, through the first 3 quarters. Crawford did come back, however, but Montgomery also, week 2, attempting to separate encouraging production from the costly mistakes. They made plenty of them last week. Aztecs accumulated 363 yards against Mount Miguel, 3 more than the Matadors, but lost 42-26 after committing, that's right, 4 turnovers, 3 lost fumbles, and interception, which gave Mount Miguel the 28-7 halftime lead. Senior running back Marquise Benton demonstrated how dangerous Montgomery can be. Rushed for 155 yards and a touchdown on only 12 carries, averaging a high 12.9 yards per attempt. That's unheard of in high school football for a high school running back. Junior quarterback Reyes Bonnet completed 9 of 18 passes for 111 yards and a touchdown, but also threw the interception. And Montgomery rushed for 252 yards overall and continued moving the ball after the game had escaped. So some trash touchdowns in there, trash time, I should say. But I think with this, if they try to use that same grenade attack against this defense, I think Monte Vista will win in the trenches. And I'm going to definitely say, being at home as well, I'm looking for Jenkins to score a couple, and I'm looking for Monte Vista and their defense to also stuff Montgomery. I'm looking for a 3-touchdown win by the Monarchs at home.
All right, I'll take them by a touchdown here. I don't know if they can beat up on Montgomery but hey, look, that was an impressive job by Mount Miguel there at Montgomery, like you said. So, the Aztecs face their own version of the same problem there, but I'm going to go ahead and go with you here, Dave, in this one. I'll take the Monarchs as well. And we're going to win a lot of games here, Dave. That's what we're going to do. And let's roll to another one here right now, Dave. We've got to talk about, because we didn't get a chance to talk about them last week. We didn't know the final score, and I'm still not clear how the scoring went down, so I apologize if I got it wrong. but El Capitan did return from Hawaii. They did lose the game last week, 28-21. The way I was trying to decipher the Max Preps, they might have had some technical difficulties, but it did seem like that Pearl City did maybe win the game late. It may have been 21-14 El Cap with Pearl City scoring the last 2 touchdowns. Just not sure, but we do have some of the details there from last week, including Michael Castillo with a monster game, Dave there. And the defense did do a pretty good job, but it was definitely an upset. Well, I think El Cap was supposed to win that game according to all the national power ratings and that. It's tough to go out there, no doubt about it. And those Hawaii teams got good programs. So El Cap's going to have to bounce back against Chula Vista. I think they should be able to. We just saw Chula Vista. Dave, you got all these comparisons. Chula Vista just lost to West Hills at West Hills. Now El Cap's got to go on the road here, but Chula Vista only had 36 yards against West Hills. I don't think they're going to do that well. They might because they're at home, but I don't think they're going to have a pretty big number there necessarily against El Cap here in this one. El Cap better win this one. I sure hope they do.
Yeah, and I mean they have to go. I think El Cap's going to be licking their chops, and they're probably pretty upset about going out there and losing that one. So being able to play at home against, I'm just saying, nothing to take away from West Hills defense, but I think El Capitan is even a step above. And so if you're only getting that much offense against the West Hills Wolfpack, I don't see you doing much better against McDade and his dastardly defense. Pretty much the defense struggled. They did struggle, though, to stop Pearl City's passing attack. 2 Chargers quarterbacks combined 17-26 attempts for 241 yards and 4 touchdowns. But it's really not a good comparison because it's night and day. Like you said, the teams from Hawaii. I do want to make note of sophomore Robinson Silva led El Cap with 11 tackles. Junior Mason Sanchez added 7. Our buddy senior Ryder Powers made 6, and sophomore Shane Whitmore contributed 5. Senior Ethan Soul recorded the Vaqueros' only sack. So I'm looking for them to probably have quite a few blitz packages and trying to keep Chula Vista on their heels and going backwards for pretty much the whole game. Spartans lost 28-13, as we said, to West Hills. That was expected to be much more competitive. Did score a 13-yard touchdown pass, added a late touchdown. Like I said, garbage time touchdown, 70-yard scoring play, but the Spartans otherwise struggled to threaten the Wolfpack. So looking for Berner and McDade and the El Capitan Vaqueros to take care of Chula Vista handily. I am looking for a 3-touchdown El Capitan win easily.
Yeah, Castillo had 169 yards and 2 touchdowns on 21 carries and really looked good. We got some art out of the game there, and we saw Castillo running for a touchdown there. We also saw Passanisi rush for a touchdown as well. Just don't know the order of the touchdowns necessarily, but nonetheless, also Braden Linder had a couple of catches. Junior Coda LaChapa also a couple of receptions in there. They said watch out for Robinson Silva, Dave. They were right. There, I'll take El Cap to win. I don't think I'm a little worried. Please, El Cap, prove it to me. I'll say they win it by a touchdown, Dave. Okay, next up, Dave. Let's keep it moving here right now. We're almost at the end of the show, but got to talk about the rest of our crew here. El Cajon Valley is going to be on the road taking on Hilltop. It's going to be pretty tough, tall order here after what we saw from the Braves. I know, Dave, they will be better. I just get the feeling from Coach Reed, even if there is some growing pains, that he does have this situation measured anyway. I don't know if he saw this coming, the 37-0 loss to Mar Vista last week, and the Braves didn't quite even get 100 yards. But I have a feeling that he knows what to do here. This one's still going to be tough against Hilltop, Dave. It might be even one-sided, but hopefully we see some improvement here from the Braves this week, particularly on offense.
Well, yeah, and now they're going to face a Hilltop defense that created multiple turnovers and allowed only one touchdown in a baseball score, 8-7 victory over Coronado.
Oh, boy.
Sophomore quarterback, TJ Ibrahimi, completed 11 of 28 passes for 95 yards against Mar Vista, rather. And, we talked about it when we did the preview that that was only probably this is only his fourth varsity start, I believe. So he's still kind of getting his feet wet out there. But it was 11 of 28, 95 yards against Mar Vista through 3 interceptions. Definitely got to tone that down. And fumbling 3 times and losing 2 of them for just himself, 5 turnovers. That needs to get cleaned up right away. And I'm sure coaches definitely was one of the things that they practiced this week to make that adjustment. But the greater concern really is almost no running game whatsoever. 1 rushing yard on 10 attempts. I don't know if I've even heard of that. Senior Gavino Kendall Panay gained 5 yards on 2 carries. Senior Hunt, he was on our preview as well. Senior John Pierre Kashindi added 4 yards on 4 attempts. And senior Rashawn Barr gained 4 yards on 2 attempts. Ibrahimi finished with minus 12 yards after losses were included. Really, I think that they got to work on this run game, and they need to establish it early and often if they are to defeat this Hilltop team, especially going on the road. And I think Amir Miller could be the most productive guy that they should count on through the air. But we got to do something on the ground, fellas. And we got to clean up the turnovers at the quarterback position. So maybe the offensive line wasn't giving him the time that he needed. But a lot of things to work on for the Braves this week.
Yeah, Dave, Miller did have 4 receptions for 49 yards, and Kashindi had 5 receptions for 36 yards, and Marvin Schmecko was also involved in the passing game. So they didn't abandon, they had to maybe abandon the run, and I think just showing the confidence they have in Ibrahimi is still, like you said, he threw 28 attempts. So they're still going to air it out with him here, and I imagine he'll be, hopefully rapidly improving here. So I'm going to have to take Hilltop here, though, Dave, by a few touchdowns in this one until the Braves can show us they can do something. Now, Dave, they did have 13 tackles for loss as a team there in the game. They mentioned, remember Justice Virgin, 7 tackles for 1 for loss. John Gonzalez, 5 tackles. Pressured the quarterback, and Angel Perez had a couple of tackles for loss as well. So the defense, 37 points, but it sounds like they were presented with some short fields there possibly, and the defense did have some pretty good numbers in there. So I'm going to say I'm going to go with the Lancers here by probably 2 or 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, I think it might be a defensive battle since that's where they both last week definitely were. That was the highlights of their games. 1-1, 1 loss. But I'm looking for this one maybe to be a little lower scoring event. Maybe even a 10-3 Hilltop win.
All right, Dave, a couple more here, but we got to talk about the Mountain Empire Redhawks, Dave. What a performance here to get off the season here over a team that we've followed. We've seen they played our teams before. Hamilton of Anza. We've seen our teams play these guys, and Dave, Mountain Empire, they were almost perfect in that game, crushing them in the opener. 30. I think it was 36-0, or was it 30? I think
39.
39-0 there. I hope I got it right in our copy in there. And what a performance, Dave, for this team. A very complete effort. Coach, called us up and said, what we, couldn't be happier. You're talking about a perfect script. So I know Coach is watching. Coach, please, we got to take some pictures. This is going to be a tough game, but let's snap those phones if we can get some students maybe on the field. And let's get some pictures of these guys. I want to see some artwork out of Mountain Empire because these guys deserve some more pub. And maybe they could pull this one off too, Dave. This is a tough game. We've seen Linfield Christian before. You mentioned it in the open. And congratulations for Mountain Empire inviting these guys in here. It gives them a real good test. You want to say, Dave, that they have a chance. It's just that Linfield Christian's a pretty good program. But you know what? Hey, welcome to Pine Valley.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah, the 22-21 win that Christian pulled off at the end of that game 2 years ago, going on the road to win that one at Linfield Christian. So Mountain Empire does have the home field advantage. Chance Ross told us that their home field is definitely, it's a small stadium, but they do get pretty loud for the home team. Speaking of Chance Ross, he completed 8 of 12 passes for 206 yards, 3 touchdowns against Hamilton. Senior receiver, who was, all 3 of these guys were on the show. That's funny.
They were great.
Senior receiver Amar Mahassan caught all 3 scoring passes and turned 5 receptions into 196 yards, averaging an extraordinary 39.2 yards per carry. It really throws that 12.4, what I just mentioned earlier, out the window. Junior running back Elijah Robinson prevented Hamilton from concentrating on the passing game. Robinson carried 24 times for 166 yards and 2 touchdowns, giving the Redhawks 372 yards from their 3 principal offensive playmakers alone. Another one of our snazzed up gentlemen that came on the show for the preview was just as effective defensively. Senior David Oney recorded 6 tackles, 5 quarterback pressures, and 1 tackle for loss as the Redhawks completed a huge shutout. Keller and company wrecked Hamilton. I think it's a little bit taller task, though, with Linfield Christian, and I think that shows the faith that Coach Keller has in his squad that they can get it done against a very much more talented team than the Hamilton team that they played last week.
The national rankings have, or the California rankings have, Mountain Empire, rated lower than Linfield Christian. Now, to me, Linfield Christian still now they had a rough week last week, so maybe they are, getting a big downgrade here. They lost to Orange Vista. Now, Orange Vista is a pretty good team. I think they're in the Imperial Empire, Inland Empire top. I want to say they're in the top 25. I was watching the show tonight. So I think Orange Vista is pretty good. I know that they lost 25-6. So the ratings for Mountain Empire, they're supposed to win this game. I just have my doubts that they can. Maybe I'm just giving Linfield Christian too much credit from what we know about what we know about this program a little bit. So look, I'm kind of going with Linfield Christian here a little bit, maybe by a field goal or so. But I'm not putting anything past this Mountain Empire team. Maybe I'll just pick Linfield Christian because that's what I'm familiar with, and this is unprecedented right now. What we're seeing in Mountain Empire, Dave. I think they were 4th in the Division 5 AA rankings. They probably should be number 1 or number 2 right now. The way this team looks right now, so the Lions have a strong defensive front. They've got a couple of guys in there that can bring it defensively. But Mountain Empire, you mentioned those playmakers they have, and I sure think, I hope they can pull it off. But I'm going to have to pick Linfield Christian by about a field goal here. and maybe we'll be talking to them afterwards, Dave, because this would be, I think, a big victory. Like I said, the state rankings do have Mountain Empire lower than, a stronger ranking. Mountain Empire is kind of expected to win this game by the overall computer rankings there, but I'm just putting a little bit of, what we've saw. I just remember that Linfield Christian game like you did from a few years ago, and that was playing Christian, right? And, I think Christians, hey, this is a great story for Mountain Empire. They're still, they're in five AA for, that's what they've chosen to do, to compete against those 9 other teams. That's not like Christian. That's up, probably Division II, close to Division I, the way they're going right now. So maybe things have changed in a couple of years. Maybe Mountain Empire is supposed to beat Linfield Christian, because Linfield Christian didn't do very much on offense last week at all, Dave. In the game, they rushed, I believe, for 6 yards in their game last week to Orange Vista. But like I said, Orange Vista is a pretty good team. They did pass for 165. Talking about Linfield Christian here, they got a quarterback, Trip Calas, 165 yards last week. So let's go, man. We better win this game and prove it wrong here. I'll go with Linfield Christian by a field goal, Dave.
Yeah, and my hat's off to Coach Keller for taking on a tougher type squad that they normally wouldn't play. And Linfield Christian's most productive opening night performance came from linebacker Madden Mayer, who recorded 13 tackles, 2 sacks. Senior linebacker Kayla Brigani added 8 tackles. The Lions should basically give a little bit more resistance to the ground attack from Mountain Empire. Redhawks also faced a short turnaround after playing Friday, although they will remain at home, as Chance, like I said, talked very highly about the Red Hawk faithful. Mountain Empire's combination of Ross, Mahasan, and Robinson gives their best chance to carry the game into fourth quarter. Red Hawks are improving rapidly, and this is another major step forward. And like I said, hats off for playing a quality program like Linfield Christian. However, I am going to take Linfield Christian as well. Sorry, Coach Keller. I want you guys to prove us both wrong, but I'm going to take them by 10.
And like I said, we had a great following out there. They're probably watching it. Well, it might be late. They may watch it on. But this game is, like you said, Dave, a short turnaround here. I believe this game is tomorrow. I don't think there's any. I think they said tomorrow at 6 p.m. So take a picture of the kids after the game. Everybody get their phones out, even if it's after the game. Take a picture of the kids with the victory ball or behind. I love it when they're in front of that scoreboard if they can pull off another big win. Let's see some artwork, because this will be the featured game tomorrow, Dave, with the solo game there out there at Pine Valley tomorrow. So
prove the ECS guys wrong. Make us wrong. Made us eat our words.
Yeah, like I said, I'll be fair. They're probably favored in the game if you go by the ratings, but I'm just, from what we've seen of Linfield Christian, and again, they got blown out last week. So, all right, just one more real quick one here I'll cover, and then the show will pretty much be over. But Foothills Christian showed that they've got rebuilding on their hands here this year. Talk about 5 AA right now. Foothills Christian, unfortunately, is pretty much rated last in the county here, ratings-wise. They got beat here last week pretty handily, and they're going to be going up against Calipatria here. Dave is, we're pretty familiar with them. Foothills Christian lost to Escondido Charter 48-0. Escondido Charter's got a nice team, so there's somebody to worry about for sure moving forward for some of these other teams. But still, nonetheless, wasn't a great performance there by Foothills Christian. In fact, we really don't. Again, this team doesn't really report too much, and they might be a little sheepish right now with things not going too well. But Foothills Christian going to be up against it here on the road at Calipatria. Calipatria has a new coach right now, Ray Van Diver, who was been a long time assistant there in the Imperial Valley, and comes over here to Calipatria. So we'll see. Calipatria's got a 2-quarterback system in there. They're a physical team with a run-heavy style, and Foothills Christian's goal should be protect the football, find some offensive rhythm, and prevent the game from getting away. Foothills Christian probably going to be an underdog here by 3 or 4 touchdowns in this one. All right, Dave, great job. We'll wrap up the show. We'll be back right after this.
When plumbing trouble strikes, call Touchdown Plumbing and Drains. Family owned with more than 25 years of experience, Touchdown is available 24/7 for leaks, backups, water heaters, drains, and sewer problems. Their licensed, bonded, and insured team also handles camera inspections, hydro jetting, pipe bursting, and epoxy lining. Get honest service, fair pricing, and championship level effort every play, every day. Call 619-402-3002. Touchdown Plumbing. You'll score with their rates.
All right, Dave, we invite everyone to head on over to eastcountysports.com and check out the picks for this week and more previews of Fearless Forecaster. I think your dad was picking the games there, Dave, and you can check out the story about David Watt out there and all the coverage, flag football coverage as well here this week, Dave. So invite everyone to go over to eastcountysports.com and check out all the coverage there from all the teams this week and our recap coverage as well. Check us out there, eastcountysports.com, and on YouTube here watching the previews. And don't forget, we'll be along, Dave, right, on Friday night after the games. And we got our work cut out for us again here this week with all the matchups. But we'll be here right after the game, probably maybe around 9:45 or 10, whenever we can get all the results together and do the post-game show.
All righty then. So for Ramon Scott, I'm Dave Dickens, and we'll see you Friday for our post-game special.
See you then.